I almost said the number that's at the end of my passwords, but yeah.
My last tip is don't do that. Hello and welcome to Outside the Fox, where we explore what's happening online and why it matters. I am your host, Kim Horcher.
My name is Ajay Patel.
For our first story, we are talking about something that statistically you're probably affected by, and that is that Ticketmaster was hit by a data hack that may affect up to 560 million customers. The online group Shiny Hunters, who are perhaps associated with Pokemon, but mostly associated with trying to sell these accounts and this information for about $500,000. If you do the math, that's $112 per person. If you follow the logic and the numbers.
You're mad that they didn't ask for more?
It's a little bit like in Austin Powers when he says $1 million, and they're like, that's not enough.
Is it a bluff?
This is even less.
Right.
And this is how many years later, but still. Live Nation has cooperated and sent out notices to all customers affected. Did you get one of those notices, AJ?
I did. Did you get one?
No.
I got the email recently, and I think this happened back in, when was it?
Well, they announced it in May.
Okay.
They said it happened in May, but it could have been
now
sooner.
The email. Yeah. So I think that's part of the rage to it, because you already have enough troubles trying to acquire tickets to go to half of these music concerts or even comedy shows. Anything that you want to go to that goes through Live Nation, you have to go through Ticketmaster. Even if you go through third parties, that's also through Ticketmaster most of the time.
So expensive.
What are you supposed to do? Do you just not go?
That's what I do.
It is a good alternative. And even if you find a way around it, right? At least one time in your life, you've used Ticketmaster. So your data's already in their, I guess, quote unquote, cloud. And so when these groups like Shiny Hunters, also great name.
I mean, they sound fun, except for the data selling.
Yeah. How do you pad yourself from things like this happening? So we have a couple tips. Well,
I mean, if it's already happened to you, here's what you got to do, which is first, change your passwords and enable two-factor authentication. And you need to monitor your accounts, perhaps monitor your financial accounts if they're connected. And you kind of need to stay vigilant. So sometimes you may want to use a password manager, and there is one built into Firefox, which is nice. It makes it a little bit more convenient because this whole thing is inconvenient where you have to be very, very careful about your information, especially if it's maybe not as secure as you had hoped it would be.
And like you said, how do you keep up with this, right? I have a password over here, over here, over here, over here. Sometimes I have to add an exclamation mark. Sometimes I have to add a number.
Don't tell on yourself.
Yeah, I almost said the number that's at the end of my passwords. But yeah.
See, this is my last tip is don't do that.
Yeah, don't get on a podcast and say your social security number, any type of information like that, especially with all these hacks that have been happening in recent history, whether you're on Facebook. I don't know if MySpace is still around. Yahoo.
It's technically around.
Yeah. I don't know, remember my password.
I would be a little concerned. It's just harder because it happens so often. There's a list out now that has the biggest data breaches of the 21st century, and a lot of them have happened since 2019. That indicates a trend upward.
Yep.
If they're not most, but almost half of them are recent.
Yes.
So these names include companies like Yahoo, Microsoft, Facebook, LinkedIn, JP Morgan, Chase, that's a little worrisome, that's financial, Home Depot, and of course your favorite website, MySpace.
I don't know how MySpace is on this list. Maybe there's just like remnants of data out there.
Just people made accounts and then they were like, I'm not going here again. Yeah. And you just forget about it.
And you just leave it.
And you're like, I'm certainly using the same password I used in 2008.
Now, we've already kind of scared you enough. Don't worry. Just change your password, two-factor. Remember all the tips that we gave you. So now let's hop into something fun, which is Comic-Con. Kim, I heard you were there. Tell us all about it.
I was there. I went for work.
Okay.
You may know I'm a reporter. Mm-hmm. And I talked to a lot of different people, entertainment and video games. And I had a really good time. I got to interview with the vampire cast, which was pretty meta because they all played the vampires.
Nice.
And I got to talk to the Futurama cast, which is always fun. That's legitimately my favorite show of all time.
I heard you got a poster signed, right?
Yes.
That's so awesome.
My producer was like, this is your opportunity. And it's signed by the whole cast now and Matt Groening. And he drew a little cartoon of Bender.
Right.
And Bender wrote, bite my shiny metal ass on my poster. And now that's in the background of all my videos at home.
Iconic.
Thanks, John DiMaggio. And so, I had a lot of interviews set up, but a couple of them almost fell apart because of AI. We're bringing it back to AI, scaring you. No, I'm not scaring you. But it was, so over the weekend that Comic-Con was, some news came out that video game voice actors would be going on strike, largely due to AI and the lack of acknowledgement from the industry about what they're going to do with this issue where, you know, this is what the actors went on strike about last year too, which was the utilization of AI to cover performance or to replace people and creative beings in this space.
Right. So in 5 years, if I'm playing like the next Skyrim, most of those voices could be replaced by an AI-generated voice.
I don't know if could be, but it is possible.
Okay.
I hope that's not the case. But so they went on strike, and I was like, oh no, some of my interviews are canceled now. I was going to interview one of the voice actors from the new Dragon Age game, Ali Hillis, who, if you follow BioWare games like I do, was Liara in the Mass Effect trilogy, one of the best characters. I know someone out there knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose her.
Yeah.
But there was a special addition to the we're going to go on strike, which is if you're at Comic-Con promoting your game, you can still do that. We're not going to make you walk away from these scheduled interviews and press opportunities. So we did get to talk about Dragon Age, at least for then, and maybe not for a while now after, but...
Overall, how was from a 1 to 10, how was your Comic-Con experience?
I'm going to say a 9. I had a really
Awesome.
good time.
Okay,
even
that's
though
great.
I worked the whole time, but I did get to be in a location where a lot of the people who are creatives in the industry and actors, performers, even musicians would come to me. So I got a pretty good experience where I got to stay in the air conditioning and not sweat it out in the sun out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a good time.
It was interesting to kind of hear you talk about where AI is affecting kind of the entertainment industry. We already saw it in Hollywood last year where a lot of actors went on strike.
Yeah, it's a little strange to have them differentiated from screen and video games because they're both performances.
Exactly.
They're both acting. And I think it's a little frightening for them because this is their livelihood. They're artists and they're creatives, and to be replaced essentially by a computer program is a little daunting. It really is scary for the human element of it all.
It'll be interesting to see what happens next in the kind of this broader world of AI replacing a lot of this voiceover work in addition to the performative work.
I hope it doesn't replace performances and voiceovers. I think of AI, to me, as being more of a tool than a be-all, end-all.
Yes.
And I do think that human actors bring a lot that's just, you can't calculate.
Agreed.
And that brings us to the end of the show. We're already here.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It got here so fast. I think it was great. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe. And if you have thoughts, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And be sure to download Firefox because you know it's the best. We'll see you next time.